Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this Wednesday. And if you went out of your way to like, comment, or subscribe, thank you. I don't always catch them in lily pads either. It seems like this is a cover that is hit or miss. Now, the benefits of lily pads are obvious, provides a lot of shade, but they don't always tend to produce. So I'm going to give you a few baits that are really going to help you break down lily pad fields quickly. And I think this is a cover that most of us are pretty used to. When I think of bass fishing, I think of a frog and a lily pad and a bass. That's what I've thought of since day one. Most lakes have these. If they're way up your river, the backs of creeks, or maybe your entire lake is just covered with them, it is the most common cover for bass. I think that's why it's important to know how to break it down. Now, the first thing I will tell you before we jump into the baits is it seems like lily pad fields are a lot like marinas. It's a lot of shade, and the bass are going to suspend right underneath the cover. So in marinas, the bass are going to be right up underneath the floats, and on the lily pad fields, they're right there. They're not really relating to the stems. Unless they're spawning or something like that, they're going to be really close to the surface. And I think that's because most of the food, if it's a minnow that jumps out of the water, lands on a lily pad, jumps around, lands back in the water, if it's a frog or a bird, whatever it may be, it seems like most of the food is coming from above them. They know that, and they're going to be right there. Because I've spent a lot of time flipping lily pads, and again, unless they're spawning, it just seems like the best way to catch them is on subsurface and topwater. So I'm going to give you 3 baits that's going to help you break down these lily pad fields. So when I get to the outer edge, this is an outer edge lily pad field bait for me. This is going to tell me a couple different things. So a buzz bait with a little skinny dipper on the back is going to tell me, are the fish aggressive? Are there a lot of fish here? If I can catch them on the outside edge, that's typically going to tell you that maybe there hasn't been a whole lot of fishing pressure. You're fishing around untapped resource, and you might only need to stay on the outside edge. Now, if you have a lot of fishing pressure, that's going to push a lot of those bass back into the thicker parts. So for me, I still want to cover water. I still want to figure out where they're at. And this is an easy swimmer rigged up with a 5/0 extra wide gap super line hook, 50-pound braid. And I like the easy swimmer because it's a little more compact, but this is a Gambler swim bait. And then I always put a punch skirt, black and blue. This is a watermelon red. The color is called Copperfield, but it's watermelon red with like a sand bottom. And that contrast in colors, I think, is very important. And then I put a 1/16 ounce bullet weight on there. So that is the rig when I'm covering water. It is a great way to at least get fish to blow up. You're not going to catch them all. You're fishing around heavy cover, but this is a good way to really have the bass show themselves. Now, a fluke is also a really good bait. I would prefer to throw that on braided line, 50-pound braid, 40, 30, whatever you want to throw. And that's going to also be able to detect some strikes. Now, once you get in an area where you really know there's bass, that's when I'm going to slow down with the frog. So I like just your normal frog. A poppin' frog is my favorite. I've caught 80% of the bass I've ever caught on a frog on a poppin' frog. But it seems like when you're in a big lily pad field, you're not going to have a ripple. It's going to be pretty calm water. So that's why I like just the regular frog. And the spots that you're bringing your frog through may be this big. So you don't really need the popping and all that. This is going to put plenty of disturbance on the water to get a strike. So just your normal frog. I cut the legs down. So short strikes, they're going to get the hooks. But that's it. I've spent a lot of times flipping lily pad fields, and I just don't get a whole lot of bites. I think most of those fish are going to be right underneath the surface, and they just know that that's where the forage is at. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.